Hey, it's Clint with Stitzer Properties, and welcome back to our four-part series on how to excel in a constrained market. Before we get started, let's just acknowledge something. Everything that we're sharing here, they're simple, they're proven, they're fundamentals, they're things that you've likely heard before. Truth be told, there's not a single person that I've revisited these concepts with that haven't been like, whew, man, I needed that. I forgot about a lot of those things. Thank you. So again, my goal with sharing these with you here is just to add value, to bring back some of these basics and perhaps introduce a new way of looking at them to help you improve and, like I said, excel in a constrained market. All right, so here we go. If you didn't watch the first video, I'll put a link somewhere on this screen to get to it. The first video is an overview of excelling in a constrained market, rejecting a limiting belief system, and then owning the core beliefs. Okay, today's video is going to be about embracing the spiraling method. And because here's the deal, look, shit happens. Shit is always going to happen. There's always going to be challenges. There's going to be roadblocks, unexpected scenarios, whatever. Okay, but there's a method. There's a proven method to continue to spiral to success. And it isn't always just railroad hammerhead, okay? I mean, there's a little bit of finesse. There's a thought process that gets applied to it. So the best way that I've seen it taught is by Ray Dalio. Ray founded the world's largest hedge fund. He wrote a book called Principles. It's a big book, but it's fantastic. He also has an iPad app, an Apple app. Well, he's got apps that you can download on your device to read, to watch case studies. It's free. It's fantastic. If you like what we share today, I highly encourage you to dive in. Okay, so credit of today's learning material from Ray Dalio and his way of describing the process of spiraling and getting through challenges. All right, so here we go. I've nicknamed this anecdotally the diagram of a thriving agent practitioner. It's also known as the spiraling method. Okay, and here's what it looks like. Again, it's very simple. We have our goals, which we mentioned in the last video. The goals have to be meaningful to you. They cannot be given to you, placed upon you, created by someone else. They have to be tied to multiple areas of your life that give you feeling, that give you meaning, that get you jacked up to continue to pursue them. Okay, and we talked about that in the 3 beliefs. Then you have to be constantly observing your outcomes versus your goals, because if you're not observing your outcomes, then you don't know there's a problem until it's usually too late. Okay, so step number 2 on this process is identifying problems when your outcomes aren't matching your goals. Okay, and the most important thing is that you cannot tolerate problems. This brings to mind, now, and when I say problems, I've taught this and people are like, what do you mean? Like I can't have a client upset during escrow? No. What I mean is, it's the boiled frog theory. And the boiled frog theory says that if you throw a frog into boiling water, it's going to jump out. But if you throw a frog into cold water, you turn the stove on, the water will slowly heat, the frog will stay in, and it will eventually boil. And that's the same thing that can happen to you in your practice if you allow problems to persist rather than identifying them and addressing them head on. Okay, so that's step number 2, is identifying problems. Step number 3 is diagnosis and truly getting to the root cause of the problem. Most oftentimes problems are simply symptoms. The root cause is much deeper. Okay, so we'll get into diagnosis in the next video actually. Okay, then step 4 is design, is making a plan to address that root cause. And then number 5 is doing. Okay, it's not rocket science, but this is the fantastic diagram of continuing to progress towards your goals and your meaningful outcomes, hitting an issue, whether it's internal, external, we'll talk more about that later, and then going through this specific process to continue spiraling to success. Okay, let's look a little bit further at some different scenarios. Again, this is from Ray Dalio. Scenario number 1 is when outcomes don't match goals. It's the beginning of the spiral. Scenario number 2 is when you actually spiral. You observe and you evolve. Scenario number 3, which sadly many people fall into, is they don't take the time to measure, they don't take the time to observe, or they don't observe until it's too late, and then they get stuck in their ways and they don't evolve. And those are the folks that stay in this constant cycle of frustration, this constant cycle of, is this ever going to get better? Am I always going to be super high and super low, or doing well or doing poorly and uncertain or frustrated and crazy busy, right? That's the not observe, not evolve subset of practitioners, or anyone in any area of life, really. Okay, so let's look at what spiraling really looks like when you put it all together. Okay, this is just the reality of life. You progress towards a goal, you have an issue, outcomes don't match, you diagnose the core issue, you make a plan to address it, you correct course, and you continue up. So this idea that you can continue to achieve your goals and the reality that life hits and this spiraling and these steps through is what gets you to systematically pound through and get through your issues or your challenges or whatever it is, okay? But that's today's video. Today's video is this deep understanding of the process of spiraling and acknowledging that it exists and that it's a part of life on getting where you want to go. Okay. So again, if you haven't watched video number 1, I highly encourage you to do so. I greatly appreciate you watching, and I hope that you watch the next video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas, thoughts, throw them at me. You can email me, you can call me, you can chat here, whatever. Thanks again for watching, and I want to wish you great success.